Hello everybody and welcome to ESOC TV today on the first day of the 10th European Stroke Organisation Conference in Basel, and I'm delighted today to be joined by three people. One of my good colleagues from Glasgow, Alan Cameron, who's going to moderate this session with me today, and Charlotte Cordonnier, who all of you will know from Lille in France, and Diedrik Dippel, who you also all of you will know from Rotterdam in the Netherlands. So it's been a great day, Charlotte. I'll ask you first of all, was there anything that caught your attention from the large trials this morning or any other session?
Yes, so many exciting things that it's quite difficult to pick up one, but I think I was quite impressed by the trial presented by Sheila Martins about the Polypill. I think what is really interesting that it was just the feasibility, 300 patients, but the concept to go on the primary care practitioner in a low income country shows you how to overcome the challenge of accessing to people very early on, before their stroke. And of course they talk about the Polypill, so what do you put in it?
Absolutely.
So they put antiplatelet, statin and antihypertensive. So what could we add? What I like is that they add education, knowledge, the transfer of knowledge in this Polypill. And it's probably something that will be extremely useful beyond the brain, really for the vascular health of people. And they're aiming for 8,000 patients. So that's huge. So I'm really eager to see how they will going to be able to do that, and probably because it was so exciting this morning, we will add colchicine, but also treatment to be able to tolerate colchicine.
One of my colleagues in Glasgow is very interested in the idea of treatment burden after stroke, and you know, as much as we have a lot to think about when a person comes in with a stroke to a stroke unit, the patient has 10 times as much to think about in terms of what's just happened to them, how they need to change, what treatments they need to undergo. And I think a Polypill could really help simplify their care by, you know, making it easier for them to take the medication. So do you think it's something that we should even be thinking about in stroke units in Europe, in the US, in more developed systems?
For the very long term, it's probably easier to enhance adherence to treatment, even though I'm not sure it has been proven. But I think we're going also far away from the precision strategy, individualized treatment, individualized dosage. For example, for antihypertensive treatment, we know that everybody shouldn't take it at the same time. So from a population perspective, it's probably very good for the vascular burden, but from an individual perspective, I'm not so sure about the concept.
So. Absolutely.
To strike that balance, it was fascinating, the Polypill. And Diedrik, yourself, any take-home highlights?
Yeah, I was impressed by the presentation of Peter Kelly on the CONVINCE trial. It was very near successful new treatment, a new paradigm, a new addition to the Polypill, perhaps. And it still looks quite good, and I hope he will do a next trial, larger trial, maybe even more simple trial, and I'm convinced that it will be positive.
What did you think about the 20% of people who stopped the treatment?
Well, we were having a chat about that earlier, just over coffee, and wonder whether part of that might just have been the COVID pandemic, people unable to access some of their services, unable to get prescriptions from GPs, so how we disentangle that.
We know that for any preventive treatment, many people stop the drug, so you have to just count on that. No problem.
And also a third of women? 30% of women were enrolled. We really should better.
55%.
We should do better, huh?
That's true.
Absolutely. No, agreed.
But the concept of the colchicine treatment fits well with stroke unit treatment, a new treatment for all.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things we wanted to discuss was what's been termed stroke unit 2.0. And obviously we've had stroke units for a long time, but stroke care today in 2024 is vastly different to stroke care, 20 years ago when the evidence, or even longer when the evidence base first started to emerge. So what do you think a stroke unit today should look like in terms of who should be there and what facilities should it have?
I think we really should promote breaking the walls between the skills and expertise. For me, the next stroke unit is really the place where the expertise of technique for endovascular thing goes, but the expertise also for maybe more neuro ICU intensive monitoring of patient has a place. Of course, a place where the stroke specialist is, but it's not only medical and the usual allied healthcare practitioner that are extremely important today, but it's really opening up to more skills and expertise in the same place. At least this is where I see it.
Diedrik,
One other idea, I think, if you look at the high-level interventions that can be done now, especially the thrombectomies, and perhaps other interventions will be coming up, you're in a primary stroke center with a stroke unit, you have to be embedded in a regional network, otherwise you won't do any good. But on the other hand, you have to realize that the bulk of the patients will be in a stroke unit and will not get thrombectomy. It's only 10%, I think, 20% maybe. So, and the effect of stroke is very large compared to no stroke unit treatment. So, if you don't give it to the thrombectomy patients and you don't give to all the other patients, then you doing a very bad job. So you need to get the thrombectomy patients back and give them the proper treatment according to standards. And you have to certify your stroke unit. I think that's very important.
So it's quite surprising because we are in 2024, and in fact what we see is that the biggest fight that we have to go on is to be sure that all stroke patients have access to the first level of stroke unit that was validated in terms of evidence-based medicine 20 years ago, and we are still there. So it's difficult to talk about the 2.0 where we still have to fight, and just to have nurses and doctors in our own stroke unit today.
Have enough.
And I hear colleagues complaining that they don't have sufficient resources to set up their stroke unit, but that's where certification can help you. If you go to your board and say, we need to be certified, otherwise we're nowhere. So help us, give us more resources, more money, more people to get this going, and it will help our patients.
And one of the things I wondered after today's presentation of the SWIFT results, and thinking of the recent publication of the ENRICH study, which was presented some time ago for both treatments that suggest neurosurgeons might have a role in the care of people of ICH more than they do currently. So do you think neurosurgeons should they be on our ward rounds now, have a more prominent place within our stroke units?
Well, for the moment, the data we have on surgery on ICH, it shows that it remains probably a small proportion of patients. So I still underline the fact that ICH is a medical emergency first, and then in a few patients that we will be able to identify, yes, we need other expertise around the patient. You're talking about neurosurgeons. It could be neuro-interventionalists in the near future, because there might be also different strategies to stop the expansion, because the surgery arrives at a time when you already lost the first window, which is stopping the expansion. So maybe there would be. You seem doubtful, but I'm
always doubtful. So.
We'll see in a few years time. But so bringing all expertise around, and maybe neurologists should do it.
Yeah, and the NH trial had patients, a patient in a later time window, but there are trials going on at this moment where we directed the stereotactic treatment on the deep hemorrhages very early, and our pilot study looked very good. And we are now Nijmegen. Klein is working on this trial. It's going well.
So it really means that all kind of patients all stroke patients have their place in the stroke unit. But with different approach, different expertise, very acute, very interventional for a small proportion of those patients. And as you correctly highlighted, we shouldn't forget the 80% of people
And do the basic
who
things
will
well.
not, who will not benefit from any, I would say, trendy or fancy intervention, but for whom the benefit of a specialist care is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you think we need to have any more involvement from our cardiology colleagues? We were wondering, we've seen some of the emerging benefits of PFO closure and
I mean, it would
heart
make our ward rounds
recovery,
fun. A neurosurgeon, a cardiologist, there's so much alpha we can take.
That would make my day. And after this round, I take 1 week of holiday. But we said that it will stay forever on the web, so we couldn't say anything wrong. So of course, it's a great idea.
It is a great idea, absolutely. But it's definitely moving. I think as evidence-based, evolves, things will become even more multidisciplinary. And as you say, these interconnected areas of neurosurgery, stroke physicians, neurologists, intensivists are going to be more and more prevalent. But we do have to always remember the basics, don't we? Things like a polypill, something so simple can have such a huge effect, and just doing basic things well, can have a huge effect. So thinking about tomorrow, is there anything you're particularly looking forward to? Have you had a chance to look at the program yet?
Tomorrow, blood pressure management around reperfusion treatment will be a topic in the ambulance, or before thrombolysis, after thrombectomy, it will be a topic.
So that
some
was
more Tenecte also, I think, in China.
There's bound to be.
Absolutely, every day.
So the plenary session tomorrow does look good, and again, is it going to rain tomorrow? Has anybody checked? I haven't.
But we're going to run.
We are going to run
at 7 a.m.
Yep, at 7 a.m.
Everybody,
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Well, we're very much looking forward to that. Is there anything you're looking forward to, Alan?
I think the plethora of clinical trials. It's great to hear we've got so many large trials that have been submitted, another session added to it. So early morning tomorrow, I think there's a clinical trial session, another at lunchtime. So we'll see some big data from that. And some more brain heart stuff is on the agenda, which I always look forward to. So great program overall.
Yeah, indeed. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All for joining us, and thank you everybody who's watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Bye.
Bye-bye.